Good morning, Chef Phil at JES Restaurant Equipment in Greenwood, South Carolina. And before I forget it, I just want to tell you that Chef Phil and all the staff here at JES wish everybody out there happy holidays. So, that being said, get on with today's video. Today we're going to do New England clam chowder. Basically what I've got here, the ingredients set up. First thing I have here is chopped bacon. Now you'll find that clam chowder is somewhat a regional dish. Here in South Carolina or in the South, we will add chopped bacon. New England will add chopped egg at the very end before it's served. When I was in Europe, they seasoned it with fresh thyme, which gave it a pretty distinct flavor. So what I've got, this is 1 pound of applewood bacon. I have rendered it down and chopped it. The reason I rendered it down, if you saw the last video we did on the gumbo, we talked about a roux. Roux is equal parts fat and flour. That fat can be anything, and because I like to build on flavors, I have rendered down the bacon and saved the bacon fat. It was a little bit shy of the 1.5 cups that I needed, so I did add just a little bit of butter to it, but that is going to increase the flavor much. Next I have 6.5 ounce cans of minced clams, and lastly, to complete the roux, a 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Now earlier, before we got started, I did cook off some carrots, some celery, and some chopped potatoes. What you got is 2 cups of chopped carrots, 2 cups celery, 1.5 cups of onion, chopped onion, and 4 cups of chopped potato, diced potato. A little note on that: when you're using the vegetables of a like density, like carrots and potatoes, in a chowder, you're not going to bring it to a hard boil, so what they'll tell you to do is parboil the potatoes and the carrots. Okay, again, parboil brings to mind water. And if you remember from the other video, I love to drink my water, but I don't like to cook with my water. You're making clam chowder. The canned clams are going to come packed in juice, so why wouldn't we use that clam juice to parboil the potatoes and the carrots? And that's exactly what I've done earlier. So they're over there. They'll get added towards the end. So I think that being said, let's head to the stove. Now, first thing we're going to do, we're going to make that roux. So here is that mostly bacon fat that I told you about. Add that in. Bring that up to the flame. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, I'll do it now. When we're using this clam broth or clam juice to parboil the vegetables, we must keep one thing in mind, and not only with the clam juice, but with anything that tends to be on the salty side. We're going to have to allow for that salt. You know, the recipe is going to call for salt and pepper. Take in mind that you've got a pretty salty broth that the clams have been packed in. Like I say, that can go for any number of ingredients that you're making. Ones that come to mind, if you've got something that calls for Parmesan cheese, a good bit of Parmesan cheese, again, that is salty, so take that into consideration when you're doing the salting. You know, and it's best to just, I always like to just wait to the end and then do the salt and pepper to taste. Okay, we've got the 1.5 cups of flour, of fat. This is a 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Stir that up. That's going to make our roux. Now keep in mind what I said before on roux, or with any thickening agent, it's not going to come to its full level of thickness until it boils. And when you're dealing with a cream soup, is what we're doing here, you really don't want to bring it to a hard boil after you add that milk, cream, half and half, what have you. Just to give you a little history or background on soups, big thing, they're classified in two categories, thick and thin. The thin being your vegetable soup, your chicken noodle soup, what have you. Then the thick, you can break that down into subcategories. What used to be, everything changes now, but what used to be a chowder would indicate that it had potatoes in it, much like a bisque would indicate that it has seafood in it. But again, things are subject to change. But generally, that's once you see the name, that'll should give you a little hint as to what is in it or what's in the preparation stage. And to touch on the dairy product and hard boil, most recipes will tell you once you've added that cream, heavy cream, half and half, what have you, don't bring it to a hard boil. Rule of thumb, once you have introduced a starch, be it flour, rice, cornstarch, what have you, you can bring it to somewhat of a boil. I'm not wanting one of these hardball stage like you're making fudge, but if you walk away from it and come back and you've got some bubbling on it, don't panic. The starch will give you a little bit of leeway, but milk by itself, and scalding milk, you don't really want to boil it. You just want to bring it to temp. So. Again, with the roux, be careful not to burn it. Burnt roux is, shall we say, unrecoverable. If you burn it, just start over. You've only got fat and flour mixed in there, so not a big expense, but it can cost you a dish. Alright, we've got that up to about the viscosity that we were looking for. Now, as I told you before, the clam juice, the carrots, the celery, the onions have all been parboiled in this clam stock, clam juice. We're going to add that in. Okay, like I said before, on the potatoes and the carrots, basically the same density. What you want to do is when you dice them to approximately the same size so that they have the same cooking time. That way, if you cut the carrots smaller than the potatoes before the potatoes were soft enough, then you'd have the problem with the carrots being too mushy. All right, here goes our pound of bacon. Alright, we've got it all mixed in together, looking pretty good. Consistency right now is pretty good. As it heats up, it may get a little bit thicker. Just in case it does, I do have a small bottle of clam juice, and need be, we will add that. Okay, taste test will tell us just a little bit of salt. A lot of times people want to call salt a spice. It's really not. It's more of an accent. It brings out the flavors of other spices. That's why sometimes, well, most times in cookies, you're putting in sugar, brown sugar, or salt. Salt's not there to make it salty. Salt's there is is to enhance the taste of the sugars. Okay, we're there, and going to give it a quick shot of pepper. Okay, as you can tell, we're shy of one ingredient, which is the problem that a lot of people have with clam chowder. They throw the clams in at midway through or whatever. They're already processed, they're already ready to eat, so what we want to do is add them at the very end, because if you put them in there for the whole cooking process, you're going to swear they're rubber bands. They will get tough if they're overcooked. All right, final taste test. My God, I've done it again. All right, that's the video on the clam chowder. Again, thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing something on the internet, on the website. And I said it before, I'll say it again. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays to everybody. And thanks for tuning in.